Our next speaker is an amazing woman. She has helped people live longer, healthier lives. She is an author, a renowned author. She is a speaker. She is a doctor on health and nutrition. She has patients that listen to her to live a longer, healthier life. And one of her passions is grounding and the effect it has on people's lives. And to share with you how grounding can help make a major difference in your life, let's bring up Dr. Laura Koniver.
Hey, Carico. I'm really excited to be here because I could make a presentation on any of these amazing products. I do believe that they provide longevity and quality of life. But my favorite is what we're going to unveil next at the end of my presentation, which is the grounded mattress. And I'm really proud of Carico. They have spent the last 12 months doing amazing, revolutionary things to this mattress, patented things, which means you have a product nobody else can offer. Your product is the only one in the entire world that does some of the things that this mattress does. But in order for you to even talk about why your customer would want to be grounded, you have to understand why the body needs to be grounded in the first place. So I'm going to spend most of my presentation trying to simplify so that when you leave here, you know how you're going to tell someone why you would introduce them to grounding, because for most people that's probably less well known than I need to drink water, I need to breathe air. Like, that's intuitive. Once I get done with this, I want it to be intuitive that you need to ground your human body if you want it to work. So here, all right. So by the time this presentation is over, I want you to feel that this mattress is your easiest product. In fact, your starting product that you're going to introduce when you're talking to someone who wants to improve their health. Because as a physician, this is the one that I would do. This one makes a direct impact on how your body functions. Other products create an environment of health for your body to function, which is awesome. You want to live in a healthy environment. You want the surfaces sanitized. You want your water clean. You want to breathe free air, clean air. But that creates an optimum environment for my body, but how do I optimize my actual body? That's through grounding. So I want to tell you what grounding is so you understand why that statement is so true. So the first bottom line, which of your customer do you want to tell about grounding? Which one, when you meet with people, which one are you going to say, this is a good person I want to talk about grounding to? Everyone. Everyone here, your body, my body, we all only function, we're only alive right now because our entire body runs off of electricity. You don't think of it that way because people think of electricity as these bright lights, you know, AC man-made fake currents that we've come up with about 150 years now. We've had a light bulb and we've had air conditioning and other conveniences. That's not what we're talking about. Our body does not run off AC fake man-made electricity. Human beings live in a natural universe that existed long before electricity. So when I talk about the electrical conductivity of the body, I'm talking about natural energy. That's called DC energy. That is the function of our entire universe. Our Earth produces DC energy. Animals, plants, human beings, we function on DC energy. It has nothing to do with, and you want to make sure your customers know, we're not talking about fake man-made electricity. We're talking about before there was ever such a thing as AC currents. Our bodies still function and only function because they're electrical. So I'm going to make it really clear and easy for you to be able to explain this to others when you're talking to them. Every part of your body needs to be conductive or you would not exist. So you know this already. I'm not telling you something new. You know your brain is putting out an electrical impulse in order for you to be thinking, writing down, looking at your phone, functioning at all. So if you walked into my clinic and I was worried about your brain's activity, your electrical activity of your brain, and I thought maybe you have a seizure disorder or maybe you're not sleeping well, I would hook your brain up to electrodes, and this is what it looks like. And that's how I monitor the health of your brain. And I'm not monitoring the health of your brain because of fake electricity like the light bulbs. I'm monitoring your DC natural energy. That's how your brain is functioning, and that's how I know it functions well. So when I optimize your DC energy, You're optimizing how your brain works. Same, what most people recognize what this is your heartbeat. Our hearts didn't start beating just because man invented electricity. It has nothing to do with that. Beating hearts because we function on DC energy. Absolutely natural since the universe was created. Everything runs on DC energy. So when doctors look at the function of your heart to make sure your heart's okay, we're looking to make sure your DC energy is okay. So you might need to educate your customers. Our bodies are electrical and we need electricity, and we don't need the toxic man-made stuff. We need the natural energy of the universe, which comes from the earth and runs through our entire body, and we don't have a heartbeat without it. And we're not aware and cognizant without it. We don't function without it. Here's another example. And I could go through every organ system in your entire body, every single one, but these are the ones that your customers are gonna understand. Your muscles in your body do not contract, you do not move, you don't even blink unless DC energy is contracting that muscle. And I can hook you up to an EMG and I can measure that to see if your muscles are functioning well. And that's because I'm measuring DC natural energy running through it to make sure it's functional. So at this point, hopefully it's really clear that we're not alive without a healthy DC current. So if that's true for every person you're ever going to talk to, every person you're ever going to bring your mattress sample to, or every person you sit next to on a plane, or everybody you love, that's true for all of them. So then the next question is, how do I get that? How do I optimize that? Most people are, again, they think about fake, artificial, man-made electricity, and it's a helpful example because everyone knows you got a cell phone, you use it, you see the battery go down. Without even thinking, you plug it back in, you're recharging the battery, and then you can use it again, and then you recharge it, and you can use it again, and then you recharge it, and you recharge it, and you recharge, and that's how you use it. That's how it functions, and without recharging it, you know it's not gonna function, it's gonna die. You're gonna throw it in the trash. Our bodies are no different except we use natural energy, DC energy. How do I make sure my body functions, my brain is functioning, my heart is functioning, my muscles can move? I need a source to regulate my DC energy and optimize how it works in my body. We have that source, and it's no coincidence that it's the planet we live on. This is what the Earth looks like as it pulses out DC energy. Again, we're not talking about fake man-made energy. The Earth has done that before, you know, even if we all went extinct, it's still gonna pulse out DC energy for the plants and animals and whatever grows up after us. Everything in the natural universe functions on DC energy. So do you think a coincidence that the Earth we live on, this is a resonant pattern that comes out of the Earth, creates a frequency that is the exact same frequency as your brain when you're at rest and in a healing state. The alpha brainwave patterns of your brain, exact same frequency of the Earth. So it's our recharging station. That's the cell phone thing. But instead of the fake crap that you're plugging your cell phone into, you're out in the Earth, touching the Earth directly. And instantly your brain goes into a healing pattern. And instantly those muscles that I showed you relax. And instantly your heart function is supported. And all the parts of your body that work on electricity, which is all the parts of your body, go into a healing state. So now you know every customer needs this, and you know how you can tell them to get it. It's the Earth. So then what age are you going to target? Do you want to target families? Do you want to target older people? Which customers do you want to target? Same answer, everybody, every age. You're never going to outgrow it. You're never too young for it. When your heart was beating when you were inside your mother, it was only beating because you had DC energy as a fetus inside with a heartbeat. And the day you were born and you took your first breath, the only reason you breathed in the first time in your life was because you had a DC electrical impulse make you breathe. And it'll be there till your last breath. You're not ever gonna outgrow the need for your body to have healthy DC natural energy. These are pictures of me raising my children, teaching my daughter how to walk barefoot on the grass, and we went to the beach a lot, and that's a picture of us running across our front yard barefoot because I know this. Their bodies, their little baby bodies need to be healthy and they need to be outside in nature. The next thing we're going to talk about, though, is it enough to just go outside and touch a blade of grass for a second with your foot or touch a tree? It helps, but is it enough? Is it enough to counterbalance all the stress that we're under, all the wear and tear, all of the diseases that we're exposed to, every single day, all of the genetics that may come into play in your health. It's probably not enough to just touch it for a couple minutes, which is what most people do. If they do that, most people go outside and they don't even touch the earth. So although you need it at every single age, we don't get enough of it. It's just no way. Even if you garden, that is still not long enough, and I'll talk about that next. But I'm not going to go heavy on the medical studies because I know that's the boring part. But if you want to read medical studies of all of these claims I'm talking about, they're all on my website. You can print them out and read them yourself. If you have a customer who really likes reading medical literature, go to my website. They can print out every single one of these. Here's one I'm going to point out to you. This is to kind of show you that you need this your entire life. These are babies that were born premature. They're not even supposed to be breathing air yet. They're supposed to be inside their mom, benefiting from their mom's DC energy. That's how you grow. That's how your brain develops and your heart develops and you become stable and then you're born. Well, these babies were born too early. And because they're born too early, their brains and their electrical systems aren't mature enough. They can't regulate their body temperature. They can't regulate their heartbeat. They can't regulate their digestion. So we put them in an incubator to approximate what they really should be, which is inside a DC energy chamber. That's their mother. So they go into an incubator, and when we ground those babies who are struggling with an immature electrical system, we look at predictors of positive outcome. We want them to survive, in other words. And when we look at, for example, in this one, we looked at their heart. Is their heart going to function well? The best prognostic indicator for a healthy heart is heart rate variability. When we looked at that, when they were grounded, they improved by almost 70% just by being connected through a ground cord to the Earth's DC energy. So if a baby who's not even meant to be alive yet, it's not meant to be out in the earth, it's not meant to be outside of its mother yet, if a baby can have a 70% better chance at life, there's no one too young that doesn't need electrical support. And you will need that until your very last breath, your last heartbeat. Your body needs it, you'll never outgrow it. So I think it's an easy way to show that. So now let's pull that together. Every customer you're ever going to talk to, every age they're ever going to be, no matter how early they're born and no matter how long they live, they all need grounding. So then it becomes, and this is where it gets sort of into why would we want a product as opposed to telling people to just live outside in a tent. How long should they ground for? Well, the answer is the longer the better. Yes, when I'm outside, I honestly do touch a leaf. And yes, when I'm outside, I love to garden, or I take my shoes off and I stand barefoot on the sidewalk. I for sure do that because within minutes, there's a lot of health benefits. But if you do it for hours and hours and hours, your entire body optimizes. I'm going to go through it a little bit just to make it come alive to you. I don't expect you to remember this, but I want you to really understand that health benefits accumulate, which is why you might want to sleep grounded. Because really there's no other surface that we should be sedentary on for hours, right? You shouldn't have a grounded sofa necessarily, because I don't think you should be sitting on a sofa for 10 hours. You know, and I don't think you should be sitting in a car, hopefully driving for that long. There's really nothing indoors that we're on that's a healthy place to be on for that long except in deep sleep. So that's why Carico intuitively and smartly decided to ground a mattress and put that hand in hand with their sleeping system. Okay, so if I go outside and I just touch a blade of grass, instantly every single part of my body is electrical. So my muscle cells, if I did that EMG and I showed you those contractions, instantly my muscle cells relax. And you might feel this. Have you ever had a tension headache? And you go outside or you're at the beach and it's gone. Because every cell in your body instantly relaxed when it didn't have to regulate itself, the earth did it. The earth put it in that support of that energy flow that's healthy. And my brain, my neurons go immediately into that alpha brainwave pattern so I can actually think. And I get out of my bad mood, hopefully. And my red blood cells, immediately, these are immediate. You can go outside for just 10 minutes and you'll get these benefits. My blood flows more freely. The red blood cells, they don't clump as much. They flow through the body better. My digestion, so if you have an upset stomach, try it. Go outside. Go outside for a few minutes. Touch the earth and see. Your entire digestive tract gets supported. Your swallowing function, your stomach digestion, your peristalsis, all is improved. But when you're talking to a customer, I don't think they're just wanting that 1 second of a little blip of improvement. They want a healthier lifespan. And the only way to do that is to ground for hours and hours and hours. So instead of that muscle cell just relaxing for a few minutes, if I ground all night long, and we've shown this in medical studies, and I test your blood, I can tell that you have less muscle damage in your entire body. That only happens if you're grounding for hours. So if you exercise and you're sore the next day, medical studies have shown you will not be as sore and your muscles were not as damaged from the exertion. Cardiac, like I said, immediately blood flows better, but over time, if I'm sleeping grounded, my heart function improves, like those babies in the NICU that we were talking about. And my blood pressure improves. Naturally, I'm not talking with medication, I'm talking with the earth supporting how your body flows. Brain, same thing. Okay, so my brain will go into a healing pattern. It might make me in a better mood temporarily if I'm outside, but if I'm sleeping grounded, my sleep is actually deeper. And so my sleep patterns are healthier and it's more restorative. And when I wake up, I actually have energy for the next day. So it's like that. Metabolism, instead of just this one meal digesting better, all of a sudden my metabolism gets a boost. I'm burning calories naturally with doing nothing else because my whole body's functioning better. It up-levels it. Even my thyroid function gets a boost, but it doesn't get a boost if I'm just outside for a minute. It gets a boost if I'm sleeping for hours. So again, most of us don't sleep on the earth outside. I love grounding, and I don't even want to sleep on the earth outside for sure. So sleeping grounded is how you're going to recommend this to your customers. So every customer, every single age, every cell in their body is going to get benefits from grounding. And most importantly, the benefits are going to accumulate if they do it for longer. Now we're talking about sleeping grounded. No other solution. So now that's why the human body needs to be grounded. And I'm going to give you 3 easy ways to make it real for the customer you're sitting next to, the person who's sitting next to you at the restaurant, or the person you strike up a conversation with. How can you can't probably go into that big spiel, right? But you can make it in real life terms. So I thought of 3 easy ways. If you run through these 3 ways with someone, they're going to jump on one of them. They're going to say, oh my God, yes, to one of these. So the first one is sleep. Do you want to sleep better? Most people have a problem with sleep. Any given year, 40% of us have a diagnosable sleep disorder, not just a rough night's sleep, not just working the night shift and I feel crappy for a little while. I mean a diagnosable sleep disorder. So there's a good chance, especially if you're talking to a couple or a couple of people, that one of them is really suffering with a sleep disorder. And that's not good because our entire body's electrical and our brain needs to sleep to function. If you are not sleeping well, you have an increased risk of depression, of anxiety. Over time, it's so damaging to your brain, you have an increased risk of dementia, and you have an increased risk of death. Not just from accidents because you're not thinking as clearly, but also just that's how stressful it is on your body. Your body's lifespan decreased if you're not sleeping well. So grounding helps with all of that. As I already told you, it instantly relaxes your muscles. So when you're laying in bed, your muscles relax and your brain starts to go in that healing pattern. You stop overthinking and you start being able to go to sleep. When you're in sleep and you're doing this for hours and hours, if we looked on that EMG I showed you, the brain electrical patterns, we can see that your brain sleep patterns are deeper. And that means you wake up the next day and feel better. And it makes sense. If you want an easy way to talk about this with your customers, you're going to say, we live on an earth that has a day-night rhythm. And when you have insomnia and trouble sleeping, you're out of rhythm. So all you need to do is lay on this mattress, which is connected with a ground cord directly to the earth, and you sync up. So my nights, I sleep better. My days, I wake up better, and I function better in the day. It makes sense. That's the first application when we started really doing this 25 now years of medical research on grounding. We started looking at circadian rhythm first. And that was the first application. If you guys all from all over the world, so you probably travel and have different time zones. The best thing you can do is ground. Literally, you can get off the plane and go out and touch the earth in your new place. You will sync to that rhythm of the earth where you are. So the first thing that happened is we started realizing for jet lag, it's a great cure. So, but now we know, even if you don't travel, in your home, you're going to sleep better and wake better and be in that good healing pattern because you're in the pattern of the earth. Remember I showed you that earth electrical patterns. That's what you want. The next reason that I know your customers are going to perk their ears up to is everybody wants to have boosted immunity, naturally right now, right? We're in the middle of this pandemic, as unfortunately we can't get away from talking about. So grounding has been naturally shown to boost your immune system. I'm talking naturally. So you've probably, some of these words on here you probably have recognized because of course this is in the news. Grounding has been shown in medical studies to boost your immunoglobulin. Have you heard that? It's a technical term, but you've probably heard that because immunoglobulins are a treatment for COVID. And that's because, have you heard of that? Giving people immunoglobulins when they're struggling to recover from COVID through an IV or an intramuscular injection. And that's because it contains antibodies. We're giving people COVID antibodies to help them recover when they're struggling to recover. Grounding boosts your immunoglobulin naturally, okay? That's incredible. The other thing it does, as we've already talked about, is it increases your circulation, which means you're bringing oxygen and nutrition to parts of your body that are struggling to recover from disease. So it improves wound healing. Pretty good when you are being exposed to things that are damaging your body. And the last thing that you've probably heard of again in the media is when you have COVID, it's not even just COVID itself that's really bothering your body. When you're struggling to breathe, it's because of your inflammatory reaction to it. So I don't know if you've heard of this. This has been on the news a lot, but it's called a cytokine storm. Your lungs just get overwhelmed and they go into this cytokine storm. And so they're struggling to oxygenate. You can't, this is what people go on ventilators for. Grounding has been shown to decrease that inflammatory cytokine reaction. I'm just talking about touching the earth. Literally, it makes your body react less, brings inflammation down, boosts your immunity, and it boosts your recovery, your cell tissue recovery. So, I mean, who wouldn't be interested in that right now? And then the third thing that would be easy to talk about is a lot of people want to lose weight. So the most recent poll from last year, more than half of us want to lose weight. And grounding does that in many, many different ways. Like I've already talked about, it makes your body function better. So at rest, sitting there, you're burning more calories. So that would be awesome. Over time, it boosts your thyroid function. It boosts your digestion. We kind of talked about that already. Over longer periods of time, it actually decreases cortisol, which means you're less stressed out. And there is a strong association between stress and weight. If you've noticed that in your own life, when you're stressed out, you get central abdominal obesity, it's called. And when you're in periods of time where you're not stressed, that falls away without dieting and exercise because it was stress related. And grounding decreases stress by decreasing cortisol naturally because, again, you're docking your body. It doesn't have to work as hard. The earth is supporting you. And it deepens sleep. That's another thing you guys should know. If you're not sleeping well, it's impossible to lose weight. And in fact, if you're not sleeping well, it's almost impossible not to gain weight. Medical studies have shown if you're not sleeping well, you gain weight 9 times faster. So it's hard, if you're not sleeping well and you're just staying at your same weight, that's congratulations, because that's really hard to do because you're tired. The next day, what you want sugar because you're exhausted and you need that coffee and you make poor food choices. And that's not anyone's fault. That makes sense. You're tired. You need quick energy. But if you're actually deepening your sleep, like we talked about that grounding does, without dieting, without even thinking about it, you make better food choices. You don't need as many calories in. You feel good. So I was personally really impressed with that, and I wanted to see, does that have real world results? Does that really work? I know these things medically, in medical studies, but does it work with my patients? So I followed 12 patients for 10 weeks. I had them come in every week. We did a weigh-in, we did a check-in, multiple different parameters of health. Every single week, the average weight loss with no dieting, I said, do not change what you eat. Do not change your exercise. Nothing, just start grounding. 1 pound a week for 10 weeks straight was the average weight loss. 60% of people lost between 4 and 15 pounds with doing nothing else. So if you're talking to a customer who has tried every diet, or maybe they're immobile, maybe they have mobility issues so they can't do an exercise program, you can ground passively in your sleep and expect natural weight loss. So I'm going to pull it all together. You know your body's electrical. This picture is just to remind you of that. And you also know, thank you, that grounding is for every part of your body. It's for every age of all of us and everyone you're ever going to meet. It helps every system in your body, and the kicker, the longer you do it, the benefits accumulate. So if that's true, it only makes sense to sleep grounded so that for about a third of my life, I'm charging my body. Just like that cell phone charge, right? You're going to do that every night. Why would we take better care of our stupid fake electronics that we can live without? Why would we take better care of that than our own body that we cannot live without? It doesn't make sense. So this should be really easy to talk to. Once you tell your customer your body needs natural electricity, it really, really does. So if sleeping grounded is the most important thing they can do, and say you're struggling, they just don't get it. You just say, okay, do you want to lose some weight? Do you want to keep your immunity high? You want to boost your metabolism? Do you want better sleep? Those are easy ways to just introduce this. Okay, well, your brain's going to work better. Okay, well, your metabolism gets better. It can be very easy to talk about this. So now we're going to go into why Carico's mattress, because my job as a grounding expert is to test all grounding tools all around the world, and I have. And I've never seen a mattress system like Carico's. They have done some amazing upgrades, which really, I really mean that. I can say right now, there's so many impressive things about it, but I have never once tested a single product that could work through a synthetic sheet, which most people at home, they have synthetic sheets, polyester. Well, grounding doesn't usually go through that because that's like a fake fabric, like plastic. Okay, Carico's mattress is so strongly grounded that you can use polyester sheet and get grounded right through it. I've never seen it. I've never seen it. And the reason is that not only is the top grounded, which is what most other products are, just the top is grounded. The side is grounded. The bottom is grounded. The inside is grounded. This is the attention to detail that Carico has. The seam around the edge that sews the side together is grounded. The seam is grounded. That's patented now. There's not one other company, not one, that has a product that can offer this to the people that you can offer. So that's why I would say this, if I'm going to only lead with one product, I'm going to lead with this one because you cannot get grounded like this anywhere else and with any other company. So that's just the tiniest reason why I love it. And we're going to go through more detail because you know that Carico, even if it wasn't grounded, has a superior mattress. There's one other thing, just because I'm a physician, I'm going to throw in here that's not about grounding. And that's because it's so important. This is the layers. Igor's going to talk about that right after I'm done in a minute. The other thing that's important to me, and this is the last medical study I'll show, is even if you have, okay, so you say all that and your customer, it's just a wall. They don't care about grounding for whatever reason. I don't know. I would sell this mattress just based on the fact that it's non-toxic. I honest to God would. Carico has developed a way to make it flame retardant with no liquid flame retardants. Every other mattress, they spray it right on. You sleep on that all night long, those fumes are going into your body. And the problem with that is it bioaccumulates, which means you're breathing it in and you never get rid of it. So in this study that I'm showing you, researchers looked at 200 patients and every single one had measurable flame retardants in their body. Not one person didn't. We all do. Every single person in here, if we went and got tested, we all have it. Because since infancy, we're laying on mattresses or sitting on sofas or chairs that are off-gassing us 24/7. And it's going in and it is not coming out. So these researchers they enrolled over 200 people and they were looking at, for their marker was viable pregnancy. And the people who had the highest levels of flame retardants in their system had 40% less chance of having a baby. That's horrendous to me. 40% less chance of fertilization, of that baby implanting in the uterus, and of that baby being carried to term. So that's just a very graphic way of showing a chemical in your body that sits there and stays there affects your health and your offspring's health. But even if you're talking to someone who's older and they don't want kids, just the flame retardants being in their system increases their cancer risk, increases their immune dysfunction, it disrupts their own hormones, it's neurotoxic because it doesn't come back out. So my point is, even if you weren't into grounding, which I am, and it's my favorite part of this system, just for the fact that it is not accumulating neurotoxins in my brain and affecting my fertility, I want to sleep on a non-toxic surface. But the bottom line, not only should you be sleeping on something non-toxic, in my medical opinion, you should be sleeping on something grounded as well. Because why would I not recharge, if I'm plugging my cell phone in before I go to sleep, why would I not recharge my body all night long? And that's what the Carico mattress does. So, and I will be here tomorrow morning at the breakfast. If you have any questions, come talk to me. I can talk to you about grounding or other aspects of health, and I would be happy to do it. And now Igor's going to come up and show you the mattress.